Welcome back, everybody. My name's Tim. This is another Real Ideal Gear Review. And today we're looking through the different categories of styles of watches, which is like everyday carry, beater watch. You have your casual watch. You have the professional, semi-formal kind of watch. And then you have your formal style watch. Yes, I put the suit coat on. And this was something I wore for years as an administrator. So I'm used to the dressing up professionally, kind of suit coat and tie type thing. For years I did that. So anyway, I'm going to go through those different styles of settings and the watches that I have that I think fit really well with that. There's going to be a watch that makes a cameo from the previous video in this video, and it's just such a good watch. I just have to include it as an option. It's not going to be the one I talk about the most, but I'm just going to mention it. So, and we'll have two formal style watches, dress watches, but formal style, when you're in those formal type situations, what are some watches that you could wear for those kind of occasions? So let's get started with the everyday carry or the beater watch. And the everyday carry beater watch is one that it really should have a cost to it that is low cost, and it should also be something that is just tough as nails. You can use it and it takes a beating, keeps on ticking. Yeah, Timex is certainly going to be in there. I don't have any Timexes in my collection right now. I used to have one, but let's talk about this watch. No surprises on this one whatsoever. It's the Casio 5610u, and the reason it's the 5610 and not the 5600, it's the tough solar, it's the radio atomic timekeeping. It also has the turn the wrist and the light comes on kind of a thing. 200 meters of water resistance. It's a G-Shock. It has all the G-Shock components to it. But tough as nails, you're not going to get anything tougher than a G-Shock. And when it comes down to the G-Shock, the legendary square is one of the ways to go. So for everyday carry, those kind of situations, if you're of that mindset, which I actually have some of those things. If you look at some previous videos of mine, I talk about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. And so I'm of that mindset, and I do wear these watches when situations arise where I want to wear it, or it's an everyday beater watch, work watch, manual labor. I do manual labor now. I used to be a superintendent of a school district. Now I'm mowing lawns, and I enjoy both immensely. So I wear this watch a lot during the summertime when I'm doing lawn work and trimming shrubs, things like that. So anyway, for an everyday carry beater watch, you can't go wrong with a Casio. And yeah, this is a little bit more pricier than the 5600 or the Grayman, the W800. Those are some other great options. But to me, the tough solar, you have the atomic timekeeping on here. It is such a low maintenance watch. Go for the gold when it comes down to low maintenance, in my opinion. But I think a close second, it's worth a mention, and that's the Baltany Vintage Military Chronograph. Tough watch, sapphire crystal, quartz movement, bead blasted stainless steel case, screw down crown, screw down pushers. You got the chronograph in here. So if you're looking for an analog watch that's just tough as nails, I highly recommend the Baltany Vintage Military Chrono. It's on AliExpress, about $150. For either one of those, you're going to be in the $150 range. Now, what about a casual watch? Casual watch is probably a watch that you would wear even more than an everyday beater, everyday carry or beater watch. That would be the Swiss watch company Bunker. I love this watch. It has won a couple of different rubric reviews where I take a bunch of watches, run them through a rubric and evaluate the watches. And this has come out on top for the law enforcement. It's come out on top for the field watch. It's an awesome watch when it comes down to an analog watch. It's a Swiss SW200 movement, so it has that high beat second movement, has more of a sweep than does the NH35, the Seiko, the typical NH35 that you see out there. It's a micro brand, but it's also, I think, a high value when it comes down to what you get for the money. It's a titanium case, sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance. Some of the best lume on any field watch I have ever come across, although the Kingsbury MS4 Regiment is right up there, but I think this one outdoes that. Lightweight watch, big dial, easy to read. As far as casual wear, you can wear this in a lot of different situations. But the Swiss watch company Bunker is an outstanding value. I put a different strap on there because I'm not a real fan of the Velcro one they have, but anyway, that's a great option. Now, so let's move on to professional and semi-formal. And this one, we're going to go back to AliExpress, and this watch is a great value. And you're going to see why in just a minute, why this watch, I think, can move between a lot of different areas, including that professional and semi-formal setting. It's the San Martin SN022. Check out the dial. Very simple black and white dial, easy to read. You've got that cursive script for San Martin there underneath the 12 o'clock position. Not much else on there. And this is a full lume dial watch, and the full lume dial is actually very effective. It was, I think, almost all night lume. If not, it was just barely all night lume. Very good lume for a San Martin watch, for an AliExpress watch. Great bracelet, has that kind of engineer bracelet, so you get some of that flash, and I think this is where the semi-formal piece comes in. Not only is it black and white, but you have a bracelet with a little bit of pizzazz to it, and it's just outstanding. One of the dings to this watch, though, is the adjustment. So when you look at the clasp on here, you're going to see that it only has 2 micro adjusts. One of them is always being used, so you've only got one other option. Screw-in links, so when you want to adjust the links on here, it's a screw-in system. But as far as the real refining fit on here, you're just not going to get quite that same refining fit that you would with a clasp that has 3 or 4 micro adjusts. I prefer 4 because then you have 3 that are available to you. The movement in here is the Epson YN22, if I remember right. Epson movement, so another Seiko company, great movement, very accurate. It's one that holds its own. I think it's going to have just as much success long term as any other Seiko movement out there. So this watch has it all. Sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, simple dial, one that can translate into a bunch of different settings, such as the semi-formal and professional setting. I would not hesitate for a second to wear this watch as a superintendent, not for a second. Now, what about formal? Okay, so another suit and tie, maybe it's black tie event. All right, let's start off with one of my favorites, the Zeppelin 8680. I love this watch. It has a really classic design to it. It has kind of those, I don't know, almost 19th century handset to it. A very busy dial though. It's a chronograph. It's a quartz movement, so it's grab and go. Has a date complication on there. It also has, at the 6 o'clock position, it has an alarm, which has its own time zone or its own time attached to that alarm. So technically it has 2 time zones on here, but you have to leave it in the set position to see the second time zone because that's what the alarm is based off of. It's not based off of the main time displayed on the main dial. But you do have a chronograph, and the chronograph measures in hours, minutes, and obviously seconds, with the chronograph second hand being in the center wheel there, center pinion. So great watch, and full lume dial. I love full lume dial. Now, as far as the legibility of this watch, when you get into a dress watch setting, a lot of times you sacrifice some of the legibility, you'll sacrifice some of the lume. In this case, you don't sacrifice lume, but you do sacrifice legibility. There's a lot of stuff going on here. It's a little tough for me to read the time. I have to really take a second or two to make sure I'm looking at the hour hand, I'm looking at the minute hand, and then you got that dang chronograph second hand in there that you have to distinguish out, especially when you're getting close to the hour markers, so like on the hour. So I really like the Zeppelin 8680. It's a great watch, but I don't think anybody's going to have a disagreement with this next one as far as a great budget formal dress watch, and that is the Orient Bambino. My wife got this for me. I love it. I wear this when we go on dates. I don't really wear it much else, partly because I want to keep it pristine. I just want this watch to be just a really good looking watch as long as possible. It has the Epson movement in it, so we talked about the other Epson movement. This is also an Epson movement, along with the Orient Seiko brand in a different subsidiary. But anyway, this is a great watch. Very simple, very elegant looking, high polish. You have this high crystal that you see here that comes up off the case. Gets you a little bit of distortion. Just a classic cream colored dial with some Roman numerals on there. Just fantastic setup. And this is really just a classic dressy situation. You've got a burgundy leather, kind of a polished leather look to it. Just a great dress watch, and cheap. This is not anything that's really expensive. You'll see a lot of these on the internet. I was one that looked at this like, yep, I see why everybody's talking about it. And my wife got me one, and it's like, this is awesome. I love it. It's a great dress watch. So there you go. It's a short video. It's about the different occasions that you would wear these watches for. Those are some ideas for that. If you have any other ideas, put those down in the comments so everybody can see those. I'd be glad to see any other ideas that you might have. My name's Tim. This has been another another Real Ideal Gear review. Check out the previous videos on this series. You'll see them labeled by episode 1, 2, 3, and so on. So check those out if you would. That would be great. We'll catch you guys next time.